caindo.
So like I was saying, in here it does not show what bag these are coming out of. So it's a matter of kind of looking at the parts, going back into the book, finding these parts in the beginning of the book, relating to what bag it's in, and then bringing the parts out and going ahead and putting everything together. So I went ahead and did that, found out that everything is in bag E, which will be our drive lines, our mounting rail, and all the little pieces, all the little screws to go ahead and attach these. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Now this, of course, as you can tell by everything in the book, is the full kit version. Now, I do enjoy the kits. I primarily build kits because when you build a kit, you know everything that goes into it. You know every little nuance of the truck. And the nice thing about that is that when something goes wrong, it's pretty easy to get in there and fix it. Somebody who, say for instance, does not build a kit and just gets a ready to run, or what they would call an RTR, you typically might get a little bit intimidated, and I know that happens to a lot of people out there. As they will get intimidated, they will go ahead at that point, take it down to a hobby shop, which, I mean, by all means, go down to the local hobby shop. Get the work done if you want to get it done. It's what keeps them going, and we love our local hobby shops. All right. All right, we got those guys on there. And the other really nice thing, and most manufacturers will do this within their books, is they will make everything look pretty much identical to what you're looking at on the part. So you kind of relate the two, you kind of look at everything, and you say, hey, you know what, that makes it real simple, because it looks just like that. If you mess it up, well, I don't know what to say, because it's pretty simple to figure out kind of how it all goes together there. So, next step, we're going to go ahead and attach the drive lines. Now the drive lines on this are identical, so you don't have to worry about a front drive line, you don't have to worry about the rear drive line. Both are going to be the same, and that's going to be calling more than likely for a 1.5 millimeter driver. And we're going to throw some Loctite on those, because I don't know how many of you have had your truck out on the trail, or you're looking at, planning on going out and playing on the trail. But when you do, and you have a driveline drop off, it's a pain. Especially when you can't find it. And then everyone else is running, and you're the only one left behind. You're walking back out to the truck, and pretty much your day is done and over. Alright, there's one in. You'll see one side is threaded, the other side is not. So again, makes it real easy to know which way these go in. Alright, there we go. So, step number 4, complete. Step number 5 looks like is going to be our shocks. So, you can see right there, we're going to go ahead and start getting the shocks put together. Now, of course, again, since these are not listed, we're going to go ahead and scroll back through the book and see if we can locate the shock parts. See, transmission. Okay, it looks like these shock parts are actually going to be in bag F, which is going to be the bag that's got the leafs. We got our 4 primary leafs, and then we've got all of the secondaries. And it looks like, one of the differences that you notice right away, your primary spring is steel, so you got your spring steel, but your secondary, all of your support springs, your helpers, are actually a fiber or a plastic, like a composite leaf. So that's a little bit different than, say, somebody like RC four-wheel drive, who all of their leaves are metal. We'll go ahead and set the rest of bag F over there, and would you look at that? Now, according to step number 5, we have to completely assemble the shock, but as we can see, they have already got the shocks put together, for the most part. We've still got a few little things on them that we've got to do, but no biggie. They've got oil in them, they feel good, everything is nice and functional. So, what they're wanting to do is get our top guides in, and then the bottom eyelet with the bottom eyelet eye. Now, in bag F, do we have those parts? Because if we do, I certainly don't see them in bag F. Alright, so we found them. They are in bag 202, which actually came from the bag that had kind of just all the body parts and other things like that. So it's going to be the, the plastic pieces that are all pressed. We've got 20201, which are going to be these little guys right here, and then we've got 20204 and 20204, which are going to be all of these guys right over here. I'm going to go ahead and get all those ones broken out, cleaned up real quick, and we'll start getting those guys together. Now, if you are a first-time kit builder, one of the things that I highly suggest is that every time that you pull all of these plastic pieces out, every one of them, from breaking them apart off of these, you're going to have a little tab left from every point that they actually attach to these. And like I say, this is just for the first timers out there. You get a kit, you want to start putting one together. Highly suggest cleaning up all those little tabs, getting them shaved off, sand them down a little bit, get it nice and smooth. It's not going to be a huge deal down the road, but I've noticed in certain things it will definitely help with everything being smooth, everything looking finished. Things aren't going to click. It's just going to make it a much nicer and a much smoother and a much more polished end model when you're done. Alright, so next up we're going to go ahead and get these ends actually put onto the shocks themselves. Now, when you do this, one of the things you never want to do is you don't want to scratch up your shaft right here, because that shaft's going to go in and out. You're going to be going through some seals that are going to be up in here. You don't want to damage the seals. You damage the seals, you end up with leaky shocks. You end up with leaky shocks, they drain out, they get everything messy. You don't want to deal with that. So what you want to do is you just want to grab it at that top thread right in there. That way you don't mess up your threads. You just hold her in, go ahead and spin that on, and you are good to go. That way you're all put together there. We'll go ahead and do that with the rest of these. So, what is the favorite kit that's out there? I've been kind of curious. I mean, the CrossRC, everything that I've been looking at on these CrossRCs, I've just been really excited about getting to start one. I think my daughter's walking down the steps, but just because of the fact that they're so detailed. There's a lot of stuff that goes into these things. Hey, did you get everything?
Oh.
Did you break the cup?
Yeah. Whoops, not again.
Oops, I did it again. I would say that the TF2 from RC four-wheel drive was definitely one of my favorites. And I don't even want to show you over there because it's a mess right now, but the Vatera Ascender was a lot of fun, really fun build. There's a couple of guys out there who have done build videos on that one. A lot of fun with that truck. The Super Sompers are great tires. The axle just comes with the pan hard as part of the kit. It's an overall great truck. For the scale realism up to this point, like I say, the TF2 has been hands down has been a great truck. They've got the real looking little Yoda axles underneath. You've got the forward engine, the transmission, just everything. It's a 2-speed. It's a fantastic truck. All right, so we've got all these pieces together. We've got our shocks functioning. We're where we need to be in the book. So we've got those. We've got our transmission. We've got the drive lines attached. We've got step 5 has been completed. And as we move into the manual, we will actually see next up we've got step 6. Step 6 is going to be the axles. And actually we got step 6, step 7, step 8, until we get to step 9, where we're actually going to be putting all of the leaves together for the front axle. So essentially what we've got is we've got leaves front and rear. Now somebody at one point had told me that, oh yeah, the truck's got 4-leaf or 4-link in the front and it's got leaves in the rear. Now this is a completely leafed vehicle. So front axle and rear axle, you got leaves both in. So we can see that we get up to this point and everything is completed in the box, like so. So we will have our front axle, we'll have our rear axle, and one of the things that you note is you've only got 4 screws basically holding on your cover. Makes it kind of nice because on the TF2, on theirs, you've actually got every one of these is an actual screw. So it is a little bit more time consuming if you want to go ahead and take them apart, do any work on it. But I think what we're going to do, just for the heck of it, we're actually going to go ahead and pull one of these covers off just so we can take a look at the inside, and we want to make sure that she's greased up and good to go. So, you know, kind of going back into the favorite builds, I mean, what is your favorite build that's out there? What was the truck, you know, if you are a hobbyist or you're just starting to get into this one, what was the favorite truck that you had, you know, that you have had the most fun with? That's your baby, so to speak. I really couldn't say as far as mine because I quite honestly love every one of these trucks that I've got sitting down, you know, and it's, as always, I mean, every one of them always has a story, you know, some type of an attachment to each one. Alright, well, let's see, as we take a look inside, we definitely do have grease in there. I mean, it's not a ton of grease, but it definitely looks like, you know, enough grease to get the job done. I mean, they don't obviously go overboard on it, but the bearings are greased. The gear is greased. Everything is steel in there. These actually look like, well, I was going to say it looked machined, but it does look like cast parts. I mean, it's got a good sheen to it though, so I'd say these look a lot more stout than some of the other ones that I've seen out there. And as far as the cast, I mean, it's got some weight to it. This is a nice axle. The way that they've built these, you've got tabs on everything, so everything should slap together and hold tight. Now there is no seal on it. Obviously it's not going to be a fluid filled, and obviously being cast the way it is you wouldn't be able to do that, but I don't think that's going to really make a difference. So I'm going to go ahead and get together and we will continue on with the build. Another thing too is anytime that you're putting these together, you want to snug everything down good, but don't ever try and over tighten them. You know, everything has very small tolerances. One of the things that you do not want to do is be putting in something with a 1.5 millimeter head on it, accidentally strip it out, call it good, leave it in there, you've got that thing Loctited in, and you know, months down the road you decide you have to take everything apart so that you can re-lube, re-grease things, you try and get it out. You already stripped it out before, you can't get to it now, and it just becomes a pain to pull this stuff apart. So, you know, Loctite it, seat it real well, but don't crank down so much that you end up breaking or stripping something out. Now we know that right now all of these parts right here, all of our leaf parts, you can see, all of these right here are all going to be coming from bag F. As we saw earlier, all the bags are layered out in the first part of the manual. So we know that that's where these are at, and I've already opened them. We'll just untape that there. Now I'm going to be willing to bet that the way that they built these leaves, you know, with the fiber, or you know, with the plastic, and then the metal, that we are going to see a lot less of the twist that we do with the RC four-wheel drive. That's one of the things with the RC four-wheel drive is you go with the standard setup and you don't get a lot of flex on it, which if you want it to be like the real thing, you know, it's going to be about like that. But what happens is people will start taking the leaves out. They'll try and go with one leaf or maybe two, or they'll go upper or lower, and you'll actually start to see a wrap happening. You start getting a lot of torque, you start doing the climbs, or get involved in rocks, and you start binding. Your axle actually will want to twist on it, and you'll end up getting that wrap going on, and all of a sudden your leaves are just no good anymore. What I ended up doing is I ended up going with the red leaves on mine with a couple of the smaller black leaves to go ahead and back it up. And I'm not real hard on it. Well, I'm fairly hard on my trucks, but that seemed to have done the job, and I don't really seem to have any issues. Okay, so we've got everything laid out. We've got 2 28s. We'll set the other ones over here with bag F. We've got 2 of our leaf mounts. We've got 2 18 and 4 16s. Again, we'll just keep everything else off to the side over there. And we can see in the manual, we're also going to need a 41153 spacer, which is going to be that guy right there. So we'll go ahead and grab 2 of those. We'll save the other 2 for the other axle. And we can see again, talking about, you know, how they lay things out in the manual. Go ahead and take a look at that, and we can see how things go together. Now, interestingly enough, it does not show any nuts on those at all, so I guess as we kind of put it together, we'll see how things go. And that's why, because these are actually threaded. Kind of show you right there, see if it'll focus. Right there, you can see that these parts are threaded. So these are actually what are going to go onto the front of the axle, right here. And the screws are going to come through, they're going to thread into those, and we're going to be assembled. Alright, and there we go. Alright, we're looking pretty good. Alright.